Well, I'm joined by Alexandre Holroyd. He's a deputy in the French National Assembly for Northern Europe, so represents French in London. He's been a member of President Macron's party En Marche since the party's founding, all the way back in 2016. Very good evening to you. How does it end? Let's just take the SNCF strike. It feels, I think, to many of the workers, an existential showdown about workers' rights and an existential showdown for President Macron to reform the French economy.
I mean, it's quite straightforward, really. In 2015, the European Union adopted a package. This reform that we're driving in France is a byproduct of that package, which was approved by all the heads of states of all the members of the European Union. And that implies introducing competition in the transport market. And we need to make sure that the SNCF is ready for that competition so that it can flourish.
Can't retire the drivers at age 52 because it will never make a profit if it doesn't.
In the long term, yes. But actually, there are both sides are true, because we can protect those workers who are now, at the moment, in the workforce, and we can make sure that when competition is introduced in the market, those advantages are carried, because we've committed, I mean, the state has committed to some extent to those workers. However, in the future, new workers have to come in with the same conditions.
Who's going to win? I mean, I come back to the question, how does it end?
So, actually, the people who are going to win are the 4 million people who use the SNCF on a daily basis. If you think of the SNCF today, you're talking about an organisation which has a debt of about 50 billion euros. That's the size of our national education system budget, yearly birthplace. You're talking about an organisation which taxpayers subsidise about 14 billion a year, about the size of the budget of all our police forces. So it needs to be reformed to be able to actually benefit the whole country.
Does Monsieur Macron fancy himself as a bit of a Thatcher? Have you ever, in conversation outside of talking to British people trying to explain what he's doing, have you ever used the Thatcher comparison to describe what he's doing?
By no means. Because there's a focus put on certain reforms of Emmanuel Macron, but especially abroad, there's a prism through which France is observed. And it's true that we have liberalised the labour market. It's true that we're making investment in the economy easier. So all those things are true. But we're also helping the most fragile in society. We're investing an enormous amount in traineeship for the unemployed. We're investing another billion in the education system. We're probably going to talk about the education system in a while, but in the secondary education system. So there's an enormous amount of investment going towards the most fragile in our society.
The strikers are right to think this guy is trying to make a very fundamental change to the French model, the French public sector, and the way France has done things.
The workers are right, everybody is right to see that President Macron and the majority, and our majority in Parliament, are trying to do what we committed to do in the campaign, which was to transform the country. A country which hasn't seen such significant reforms in the last 3 decades, and which desperately needed them. And actually, you can already start seeing some of the impacts. Investment is up. Unemployment, although I don't like to discuss it on a month-by-month basis, is going down. But you know, so you can already see some of the benefits.
In the Thatcher years, and people obviously still argue about whether there were benefits, in as far as there were benefits, they didn't come in the first 3 years. I mean, you've got to get through an election in 4 years' time on the basis of a set of at best, a set of reforms that deliver short-term pain and long-term benefit. I mean, it's quite a difficult position.
Well, I think one of the changes that we've tried to create, both by the means of actually being elected, as you said, a new party, a lot of people from outside politics like myself, was also to change the way we approach the exercise of power. And the absolute priority is to transform the country. So we're not thinking in terms of the next election, the next election, and the next election. We're thinking of what the country needs to deal with the challenges which it has, one of them being mass unemployment.
We need to leave it there. Alexandre Holroyd, thank you so much.